In the forgotten pages of Earth's ancient history, long before the first human gaze met the stars, there existed creatures so strange, so impossible, that even imagination hesitates to accept them. They ruled worlds of mist and fire, oceans of shadow, and skies thick with the breath of giants. They were not the familiar icons of our childhood books, not the towering T-Rex or the graceful Brachiosaurus. These were the outsiders of evolution, the biological experiments of a world still learning to dream. From the deserts of Mongolia to the frozen bones beneath Antarctica, we unearthed the impossible. Dinosaurs that glided without wings, hunted with sails, sang with hollow bones, or wielded claws longer than a human arm. Each one a question mark carved into stone. This is not a story about extinction. It's about the wild creativity of life itself, and the strange, beautiful, terrifying creatures that once walked beneath alien skies. Welcome to the Wonder Lab. And this is the weirdest dinosaurs that ever lived. The camera of imagination opens on a world reborn from fire. The continents are still drifting, the air heavy with volcanic breath. The Mesozoic dawn has begun, and life, desperate to survive, begins to experiment. Across this young planet, nature is not careful. It's reckless, bold, and beautifully strange. In this ancient theater, evolution writes its wildest scripts, and among its actors, none were stranger than the dinosaurs. They weren't merely giant reptiles, they were evolution's prototypes, testing every possible way to exist. Some walked like birds, others swam like fish. Some had feathers without flight, others had armor without enemies. Each one was a gamble of nature's imagination. The desert of ghosts in the sands of Mongolia, scientists uncover bones that defy logic. Among them lies a skeleton with arms longer than its body, ending in claws shaped like scythes. Its name, Therizinosaurus. It stands like a nightmare stitched from several creatures, the body of a pot-bellied herbivore, the claws of a predator, and the neck of a bird searching for sky. No one knows exactly how it lived. Some believe those claws were weapons. Others think they were tools for stripping leaves. But one thing is certain, it broke the rules. In a world obsessed with survival, it chose elegance and strangeness over simplicity. The sail of shadows far away. In what is now North Africa, another giant haunts the river deltas. It's longer than a T-Rex, yet moves like a crocodile. A creature with a vast sail rising from its spine, Spinosaurus. To the human eye, it looks almost mythical. Was it a hunter of fish, a walker of swamps, or something caught between water and land? An evolutionary bridge that never quite found its home. Its bones tell the story of adaptation, hollow yet heavy, designed for both buoyancy and power. If you were to see it alive, you would think the laws of biology had been rewritten. The bird that couldn't fly in a corner of ancient China, a fossil rests beneath layers of volcanic ash, the remains of a dinosaur with feathers like smoke. Microraptor, a creature with 4 wings. It glided through forests like a ghost, each leap a silent fall between the trees. It wasn't built for perfection. It was built for possibility. Evolution was experimenting with the idea of flight. The sky was calling, and Microraptor was one of the first to answer, awkwardly, imperfectly, but beautifully. The Horns of Madness in North America, the late Cretaceous, was an age of armored faces. But one species went far beyond defense, Styracosaurus, crowned with a halo of spikes erupting from its skull. Its face looked like a weapon, but perhaps it wasn't. Some paleontologists believe those horns were for display, not war, signals of dominance, beauty, or attraction. Nature wasn't just fighting, it was showing off. These dinosaurs were more than survivors. They were artists, performers, symbols of life's endless creativity. The whisper beneath the stone every fossil we find is a whisper from a vanished age. Each bone, a fragment of a conversation between time and chance. In this first chapter, we've met creatures that refused to be ordinary. Therizinosaurus, the clawed enigma. Spinosaurus, the river dragon. Microraptor, the ghost with wings. And Styracosaurus, the living crown of thorns. But this is only the beginning. Beyond these giants, stranger beings still await. Dinosaurs that glowed, that hunted in packs, that may have sung, and even those that challenged the very idea of what life could be. The deeper we dig, the more we realize the age of dinosaurs wasn't just an era of monsters, it was an age of imagination. The wind carries dust across the bones of the past. Every fossil is a heartbeat frozen in time, a clue to a world that never stops whispering its secrets. And with each discovery, we realize something extraordinary. The dinosaurs we thought we knew were only half the story, because life, when pushed to its limits, doesn't follow rules. It invents them. The giant with a sail of light deep in the Badlands of South America, a skeleton emerges. Long neck, sharp teeth, a crest like the blade of a ship. This was Amargasaurus, the dinosaur that carried 2 rows of spines along its back, creating what looks like a prehistoric lightning bolt frozen in motion. No one knows why it evolved such strange sails. Some scientists think they held a membrane, forming a colorful display, perhaps a way to attract mates or intimidate rivals. Others believe they helped regulate body temperature, like solar panels for survival, whatever the truth. Amargasaurus was an artist of adaptation, a creature designed not only to live, but to astonish. The dragon with a crest of sound in the humid swamps of ancient North America, a dinosaur, lifts its head toward the sky. Air flows through the hollow tube on its head, and the sound that follows isn't a roar, but a song. This was Parasaurolophus, the singing dinosaur. Its hollow crest acted like a trumpet, producing deep, haunting notes that echoed through the forests. Was it communication? A call for mates? A warning cry? Perhaps all of them. To imagine these creatures alive is to imagine a symphony of survival, a world where sound itself was a language of the living. The armor of fire in the age of predators. Defense became an art. One creature turned survival into sculpture, Ankylosaurus. Covered in thick plates of bone, its back was a fortress. Its tail a weapon forged in evolution's forge. It was not built to run or hide, but to stand its ground. When a predator approached, its tail could shatter bone with a single swing, a living tank. Millions of years before the first human war, and yet, beneath its armor, Ankylosaurus carried the same beating heart as every living being, the silent rhythm of survival. The feathered serpent from the ashes of Liaoning, China, another marvel, emerges. A creature with feathers of black and gold, a dinosaur that looked like a dragon wrapped in silk. Yutyrannus, the feathered tyrant. It was a predator, related to the mighty T-Rex, but clothed in feathers, a revelation that changed everything we thought we knew. The age of dinosaurs wasn't a world of scaly beasts. It was a world of color, texture, and evolution's finest art. Feathers, once thought to belong only to birds, were the legacy of creatures like Yutyrannus. Proof that flight wasn't the only reason to wear a crown of feathers. Sometimes evolution creates beauty simply because it can. The Lost Kingdom, beneath the ice in Antarctica, yes, Antarctica, scientists discover footprints frozen in stone, proof that dinosaurs once walked beneath a sun that never set. Among them, strange forms. Creatures adapted to freezing nights and endless twilight. These were the polar dinosaurs, beings of endurance, not dominance. They survived where life had no right to exist. Imagine herds moving through snow-dusted forests, breathing clouds into the cold air of a continent that would one day freeze solid. They were proof that dinosaurs weren't bound by climate, but by courage, the message beneath the bones. Every discovery, Amargasaurus, Parasaurolophus, Ankylosaurus, Eutyranus, and the polar wanderers, tells us one truth: evolution was never simple. It was wild, experimental, poetic. It didn't just create life, it created imagination. These weren't creatures of chaos. They were masterpieces, sculpted by the universe's oldest artist, time itself. The bones may sleep now, but their story continues to breathe through us. In birds, in nature, in the heartbeat of curiosity that drives humankind. The age of dinosaurs was not a single world, but 1,000 worlds overlapping in time. Each continent a stage for life's boldest experiments. And as the earth shifted, so did its imagination. Somewhere between genius and chaos, evolution began to dream in impossible forms. The living scythe in the deserts of Argentina, a skeleton, lies curled beneath crimson stone. Its claws are sickles, its stance low, its movements calculated. This was Baryonyx, the fish-eater. While others hunted on land, Baryonyx chose the rivers. Its long snout, filled with conical teeth, was not made to crush bones, but to grip slippery prey. It was a fisherman, not a warrior, an apex predator that broke the rules of what a carnivore should be. It reminds us that survival isn't always about strength. Sometimes it's about strategy. The dancer with feathers of fire in the lush forests of Cretaceous China. Another strange creature glides through the undergrowth, Caudipteryx. It looks part bird, part reptile, its arms feathered like wings that never learned to fly. It ran, danced, and displayed, its feathers shimmering in the sun like living jewels. Some scientists believe it used those feathers not for flight, but for attraction, turning evolution into performance art. It was nature's early flirtation with beauty, the first act in a play that would someday give rise to birds. The predator that saw in the dark. Night hides a different kind of terror. In the shadows of the Jurassic forests, eyes glimmer, wide, intelligent, calculating. This was Trudon, a dinosaur with a brain larger than almost any of its kind. Its vision was tuned to darkness, its senses sharp enough to detect the softest movement. If intelligence is the currency of survival, Trudon was rich beyond measure. It hunted in packs. It learned. It adapted. Some paleontologists even believe Trudon might have continued to evolve, had the asteroid never come, into something eerily intelligent, almost human-like. It is a haunting thought that the first glimmer of higher thought may have sparked in a reptilian brain millions of years before us. The dinosaur that dug through hell across the burning plains of Mongolia, beneath dunes of ancient storms. Another enigma was found, Oviraptor. Its name means egg thief, a label born from misunderstanding. At first, scientists believed it stole eggs. Later, they discovered it was protecting its own nest. Oviraptor was a parent, a creature that guarded life, its body curled around its eggs in a final act of devotion, frozen forever by a sandstorm. Not all stories of dinosaurs are about teeth and terror. Some are about love, sacrifice, and the silent persistence of care. The shadow that walked on water in what is now Brazil, fossil footprints lead across a dry riverbed. But these steps are not of land dwellers. They belong to a dinosaur that may have floated. Scientists call it Irritator, a cousin of Spinosaurus, part fish-eater, part swimmer, with jaws like a crocodile and bones dense enough to dive. It blurs the border between reptile and aquatic hunter, a creature that walked in both worlds, master of neither, but ruler of survival itself. The great experiment: as the Mesozoic world evolved, so too did life's imagination. From Baryonyx the fisherman, to Caudipteryx the dancer, to Trudon the thinker, to Oviraptor the guardian, to Irritator the river ghost, each dinosaur tells us the same truth. Evolution never stopped trying. It never followed a pattern. It painted the canvas of time with infinite shapes, each one a new question for us to ask. These creatures were not mistakes. They were possibilities, living evidence that the universe dreams in endless directions. There are moments in nature when it seems to lose its restraint, when the universe, tired of symmetry, decides to create art from chaos. The result being so extraordinary that even time itself struggles to explain them. These are not the famous giants of history. These are the weird ones, creatures that seem like they came from dreams, not from the soil of Earth. The dinosaur with the neck of a crane and the feet of an eagle high above the ancient floodplains of what is now Argentina walked Therizinosaurus, a dinosaur that looked more like a mistake than a design. It stood on two legs, its body covered in feathers, its arms ending in the longest claws ever seen on land, over 3 feet long, curved like the blades of scythes. For years, scientists thought it was a predator. But when they found its teeth, small and flat, they realized the truth. It was an herbivore, a gentle giant with the weapons of a monster. Its claws weren't for killing. They were for pulling down branches, for defense, for show. Therizinosaurus was evolution's paradox, a nightmare in shape, a vegetarian in soul, the dinosaur that sounded like thunder in the deserts of North Africa. A giant skull was unearthed, a creature with hollow crests that formed resonating chambers. This was Parasaurolophus, the dinosaur that could sing. Its long curved crest acted like a wind instrument. When it breathed out, the air echoed through the tubes, creating deep, haunting sounds that could travel miles. It was communication, a prehistoric orchestra of moans and calls echoing through the forests. Some say Parasaurolophus spoke through music, each note a message of warning, love, or territory. Nature had not only evolved teeth and claws, it had evolved voice. The armored mirage far to the north beneath the frozen layers of Canada, a fossil emerged so perfectly preserved that even its skin still bore the armor of the past. They named it Borealopelta, the northern shield. It was built like a tank, heavily armored, low to the ground, covered in plates and spikes that glistened like bronze in sunlight. But the real miracle was its camouflage, its back patterned with reddish hues to blend with the ancient ferns. This was more than defense. This was strategy. In a world ruled by predators, Borealopelta had mastered invisibility. It was the art of not being eaten, painted in the language of survival. The dragon of the mist in the highlands of China. A new fossil shocked the scientific world, a creature that combined the grace of birds with the ferocity of dragons. They called it Yik-Yi, meaning strange wing. It wasn't covered in feathers, but in a thin membrane stretched between long fingers, like a bat's wings. Yik-Yi was nature's experiment in flight, a prototype between dinosaurs and birds. It may not have flown far, but it showed evolution testing boundaries, learning, failing, and trying again. Each beat of its fragile wings was a whisper from nature. What if? The horned phantom deep in the rock beds of New Mexico, a skull was found. Its horns curved backward like a crown of shadows. This was Cosmoceratops, the ornate face. It had 15 horns and frills, an explosion of bone that served no clear purpose. Was it armor, decoration, or nature showing off its sense of beauty? Some believe it was all about display, a biological crown meant to attract mates and intimidate rivals. If beauty exists for its own sake, Cosmoceratops was proof that dinosaurs, too, could be vain. The rule of the strange every species, no matter how bizarre, carried a message that life doesn't follow rules, it creates them. The Resinosaurus with its claws, Parasaurolophus with its music, Borealopelta with its armor, Yichi with its bat-like wings, Cosmoceratops with its crown. Each one shows how chaos can be intelligent and beauty can be born from madness. These were not mistakes. They were nature experimenting with art, balance, and possibility. And in their bones lies the blueprint of every creature that came after, including us. Every empire ends, even the ones built from bone and thunder. For over 160 million years, dinosaurs ruled every corner of the earth, from icy poles to burning deserts. But nature never makes eternal promises. One by one, the lights of the Cretaceous world began to fade. Not suddenly, not yet, but slowly, like the dying echo of a symphony that once shook the stars. The slow collapse before the asteroid, there was already change. Volcanoes in India erupted endlessly, pouring oceans of lava into the sky. Ash darkened the atmosphere, poison filled the rain. Plants began to die, and the air, once rich and heavy with oxygen, grew thinner, colder, harsher. Many of the strangest dinosaurs couldn't adapt. Their brilliance, their beauty, their weirdness had been designed for a world that was vanishing. Therizinosaurus's lush forests turned to dust. Parasaurolophus's echoing calls faded through silent valleys. Even Borealopelta's armor couldn't protect it from starvation. Nature was rewriting the rules again, and evolution, once so creative, fell silent. The sky fell then. One night the stars betrayed the earth. From the blackness above, a fireball the size of a mountain tore through the sky at 70,000 kilometers per hour. It struck the shallow seas of the Yucatan Peninsula with a force greater than 1 billion nuclear bombs. In seconds, everything changed. The ocean turned to vapor. Forests ignited. Winds howled faster than hurricanes. And darkness, thick, choking, eternal, covered the world. This was the end of the dinosaurs, but not of their legacy. Survivors of the silence, in the ruins of the old world, only the small and adaptable remained. Tiny mammals hiding in burrows, insects, reptiles, and the last of the feathered ones. Among the ashes, a few small bird-like dinosaurs took flight, their wings beating through the smoky air. They survived, and from them, over millions of years, came sparrows, eagles, crows, every bird that sings today. Each one carries in its DNA the memory of a world that burned. When you hear the cry of a hawk or the flutter of pigeons in the city, you are hearing the echo of dinosaurs, the ghosts beneath our feet today. The fossils we unearth are not just bones. They are messages written in stone. Every claw, every feather, every horn is a note in the earth's unfinished song. The dinosaurs didn't vanish. They transformed. They became whispers in the genes of every living thing. We are all, in some distant way, children of their strange and beautiful world. The wonder of extinction. Sometimes endings are not failures. They are transitions, the earth turning one page to write another. Without their fall, there would be no rise of mammals, no dawn of humankind, no eyes left to look back in awe. The weirdest dinosaurs didn't just live. They taught the universe to imagine. They were proof that nature's creativity has no boundaries, that even extinction is part of the art. And somewhere, in the rustle of trees or the call of a bird, their story still continues, a whisper from a time when giants ruled the dawn. Out of destruction comes creation. When the dust of the great impact settled, the earth was no longer the same planet. The sunlight struggled to return. The air was thick with soot and silence. But even in the blackened soil, something ancient stirred, a heartbeat refusing to die. The dawn after darkness, it took years for the sky to clear, for green to return to the shattered landscapes, and when it did, a new kind of world emerged, smaller, quieter, yet determined. The age of giants had ended, but life, as always, adapted. Tiny mammals scurried among the ferns, feeding on seeds and insects that had survived the cataclysm. The survivors of the air, those small, winged descendants of dinosaurs, learned to live in this new, uncertain world. Where once thunder lizards had walked, now chirps and flutters filled the air. The feathered legacy. For millions of years, birds evolved in silence, their bodies refined for balance, speed, and survival. They learned to glide, to soar, to migrate across oceans and continents, each one a living fossil, a messenger from the Mesozoic world. If you look at a heron standing motionless by the water, you can still see the ghost of a velociraptor in its posture. If you watch a hawk's talons strike, you glimpse the legacy of Tyrannosaurus in its precision. The dinosaurs had not truly died. They had changed form, and through the fluttering of feathers, they learned to touch the sky. The rise of the warm-blooded, while the avian line took to the skies, the mammals below began their quiet revolution. They were once nothing more than prey, timid creatures hiding in the shadows. But now, with the great predators gone, they inherited the earth. They grew, evolved, and diversified, from tiny scavengers into wolves, whales, elephants, and eventually us. The torch had passed. But every cell of our being still carries the genetic echoes of that older world. Our bones, our hands, even our heartbeat, are shaped by the same ancient blueprint that built the dinosaurs. We are not separate from them. We are the continuation of their story. Evolution's hidden hand, the post-dinosaur world was not random. It was guided by patterns, rules written into the DNA of all life. Experimentation never stopped, just changed its form. The weirdness of the dinosaurs found new life in the mammals and birds that followed, platypuses with duck-like bills, bats with sonar and wings, humans with imagination. Each is another strange invention in the endless creativity of nature. We are all part of the same strange experiment that began millions of years ago in a world of thunder and scales. The echo that never ends. If you stand on a quiet cliffside and watch a bird glide over the ocean, you are watching time itself, the past made alive again. The earth has buried its old bones, but the spirit of the dinosaurs still walks through the veins of life. In every flight, every heartbeat, every breath, they live on. The weirdest dinosaurs didn't just shape the past, they shaped us. And every time we look up at the stars or dig our hands into the dust of history, we are answering the same ancient question. What will evolution dream of next? Extinction is never the end. It is simply evolution changing its canvas. And once the earth recovered from the fire, it began to imagine again, to build life that could fill the emptiness left behind by the dinosaurs. The results? Equally bizarre, equally magnificent. Proof that nature's creativity never fades, it just evolves. The return of the Titans millions of years after the dinosaurs fell, the world saw giants rise once more, not from scales but from fur. In the forests of South America roamed Paraceratherium, the largest land mammal that ever lived, a hornless relative of the rhinoceros, taller than a house, heavier than an elephant. It stretched its long neck to the trees, grazing where once sauropods had fed. The throne of size, long abandoned by the dinosaurs, had found a new heir. But unlike their reptilian predecessors, these giants were warm-blooded, gentle, and social. The age of terror had become the age of endurance. The birds that forgot how to fly across the southern continents, some descendants of dinosaurs, grew strange again. They were birds, but not like any we know today. In the plains of prehistoric Argentina ran the Forus racids, better known as terror birds. 10 feet tall, fast, and armed with razor beaks, they hunted mammals with merciless precision. Their wings had withered, but their power had not. They were flightless predators, proof that even after extinction, the ghost of the dinosaurs could still learn to run. Each step they took was an echo of raptors long gone, the rhythm of ancient predation, reborn in feathers, the mammals that became monsters, while terror birds ruled the open plains. The oceans gave birth to their own beasts. In the deep blue, where silence reigns eternal, a new apex hunter emerged, Basilosaurus. Despite its name, it wasn't a reptile, but a whale. Its body stretched over 60 feet, its jaws filled with teeth sharp enough to shear bone. It hunted like a serpent, its long, flexible form slicing through the waves. Once again, the sea belonged to giants, and this time they sang instead of roared, the architects of the new world. The earth, once dominated by predators, now began to shape a different story, one of intelligence. In the trees, small primates began to evolve larger brains, better vision, and the curiosity to explore. For millions of years they watched, learning from every shadow, every movement, every pattern in the forest. They were fragile, yes, but they were clever, and that cleverness would become the single most powerful survival tool on the planet. The torch of imagination once held by dinosaurs was being passed again, to the thinkers, the builders, the dreamers, the echo in our blood, every strange form that came after. The terror bird, the giant whale, the hornless titan, even the first primates, carried a trace of the dinosaurs, their balance, their bones, their rhythm of life. It all stemmed from that ancient code. The earth was not starting over. It was continuing the story in a new language, and when one day humans would dig into the earth and uncover the skeletons of those ancient lords, they would finally recognize themselves as the heirs to that endless creative struggle for survival. The circle repeats in every age. Nature tests the limits of what's possible. It builds giants, then wipes them away. It gives wings to stone and breath to dust. The dinosaurs were not the beginning, and we are not the end. We are simply the latest verse in the same eternal song. The weirdest dinosaurs may be gone, but their spirit still moves, in the tides, in the wind, in the curiosity that drives us to look back and ask, what came before us, and what might come next? The past is never truly gone. It lingers in fossils, in feathers, in the beating of every living heart. The world that once belonged to the dinosaurs still breathes beneath our feet, hidden in plain sight. Every bird that takes flight, every reptile that basks in the sun, every human gaze fixed upon the stars is part of the same unbroken chain. The living fossils. Some creatures defied time itself. They refused to evolve, or perhaps they simply never needed to. In the dark depths of the ocean lurks the coelacanth, a fish thought extinct for 65 million years, until one swam into a fisherman's net in 1938. Its fins move like limbs, its eyes ancient and unblinking. It is not a survivor by chance, but by perfection. It whispers of a world before mammals, before flowers, before even the sky turned blue. A fragment of the dinosaurs' age, still alive. The birds, nature's living dinosaurs, every morning as the sun rises, you hear the descendants of the dinosaurs sing, from pigeons to peacocks, from eagles to penguins. Each carries the bloodline of the ancient world, their hollow bones, their scales turned feathers, their fierce hunting instincts, all are relics of evolution's greatest transformation. They are not imitations of dinosaurs. They are dinosaurs, alive, evolving, adapting, masters of the air where their ancestors once ruled the ground. When a hawk dives, when a flamingo glides, when a crow watches you with unblinking eyes, you are looking into the living face of prehistory, the human connection. But perhaps the strangest creature to rise from the ashes of extinction was us humans, soft-skinned, fragile, yet carrying the same cosmic hunger that drove the dinosaurs. To explore every corner of their world, we dig into their bones, we study their teeth, we rebuild their faces, not just to know them, but to know ourselves. Every discovery, every fossil unearthed is a mirror into deep time, because in their survival, in their extinction, we find the story of our own fragility and our own resilience. The lessons of the ancient ones. The dinosaurs were not failures. They were the architects of possibility. They proved that life could grow immense, intelligent, beautiful, and still fall, not from weakness, but from change. Their story teaches us humility, that no species, no matter how dominant, owns the earth forever. The same forces that shaped them, volcanoes, climate, asteroids, still shape us, and one day our bones too will rest beneath the dust, waiting for some future mind to ask, who were they? The eternal pattern extinction and creation are not opposites. They are partners in the dance of existence. Every fall gives rise to something new. Every death feeds another beginning. The weirdest dinosaurs that ever lived are not gone. They live in birds, in beasts, in humanity itself. They live in our imagination, in every story we tell about the mystery of life. They were the dreamers before dreams. And through us, their dreams continue. The final whisper, look at the stars tonight. The same stars that shone over the backs of the great reptiles. They saw their rise, their glory, their fall, and now they watch us. Maybe the universe isn't finished creating dinosaurs. Maybe it never stopped. It simply changed what a dinosaur could be. We are the weirdest dinosaurs that ever lived. Time is a river. It flows, reshapes, erases, but never forgets. Beneath the continents we walk upon lie the memories of creatures that once ruled the earth. Every stone, every mountain, every fossil is a fragment of a vanished world. Whispering the same message, nothing truly disappears. It only changes form. The bones that speak deep within museum halls, the bones of dinosaurs, stand in silent formation. Giants reborn under artificial lights. Children stare up in awe. Scientists measure, debate, and theorize. But the truth is simpler and far deeper. Those bones are not relics of death. They are proof of life's persistence. They remind us that even after 65 million years, the earth still carries memory in its flesh. Each fossil is a message written in stone, a letter from the deep past that says, we were here. We dreamed. We survived until we could not. The architects of imagination dinosaurs built more than ecosystems. They built imagination itself, from the first fossils unearthed by ancient farmers to the modern discoveries in deserts and cliffs. Every generation has looked upon them and felt the same wonder. They taught us to imagine worlds beyond our own, to believe that time is vast and that life is more creative than we can ever comprehend. Without them, there would be no science of evolution, no movies that ignite curiosity, no stories of monsters, dragons, or worlds before man. They live now not only in bones, but in myth, art, and awe, the mirror of humanity. When we study them, we are not just studying the past, we are studying ourselves. The dinosaurs were masters of their world, and yet, in one instant, they fell. Their extinction reminds us that power is temporary, and survival belongs not to the strongest, but to the most adaptable. In our cities, our technologies, our restless hunger to dominate nature, we see the same arrogance that once belonged to the rulers of the Mesozoic. Perhaps that's why their story fascinates us so deeply, because it warns us of what we might become. The continuation of the dream, but the story of life did not end with their fall. It evolved, rebuilt, and continued through mammals, through birds, through us. We are the living extension of their legacy, the inheritors of their strength, their adaptability, and their endless will to exist. Every step we take, every discovery we make is part of the same ancient experiment that began in the swamps of the Triassic age. We are not separate from them. We are the latest chapter of their tale. The earth remembers. Listen to the wind across the desert. It moves through time. It whispers over the bones buried in silence, carrying their story forward to whoever will listen. The earth has always been the storyteller, and we, the brief, fragile listeners, are the lucky ones who arrived late enough to hear its oldest song. The legacy, the weirdest dinosaurs that ever lived, were not the ones with feathers or horns or claws. They were the ones who changed the rules, who dared to exist in strange forms, to try what no other life had tried before. They are the reason evolution became art, the reason life keeps experimenting, the reason we exist. Their legacy is not extinction, it is imagination itself. The final thought, so when you look at a fossil or watch a bird take flight, remember, you are seeing the echo of a universe that never gave up. Dinosaurs didn't vanish. They became the Earth's memory. And through us, through every act of curiosity and wonder, they live again. Silence, the kind that comes after a storm, after the last heartbeat of an age. The world once thundered with giants, and then one by one they faded into dust. But in that silence, the earth was not mourning. It was transforming, a world reborn. The skies that once trembled with wings of pterosaurs grew calm again. The seas that carried ichthyosaurs and mosasaurs turned still. But beneath that stillness, life was quietly rewriting itself. Tiny mammals scurried through the ashes. Seeds cracked open beneath the cooling sun. And from the wreckage of titans, the blueprint for a new world began to unfold. The end of the dinosaurs was not the end of life. It was its greatest reinvention. The echo in our DNA looked closely enough, and the past still lives within us. Every heartbeat you feel, every cell that divides inside you, carries the signature of ancient life, traced back through time, through fish, reptiles, and those mighty reptiles of the Mesozoic. Our blood remembers the oceans. Our bones remember the earth's pull. Our curiosity, that endless hunger to explore, is the same force that made dinosaurs rule the planet. We are not apart from them. We are their continuation, their dream evolved, the sky that never forgot. Each time a bird takes flight, the dinosaurs rise again, their feathers shimmer in sunlight, their songs echo through valleys, their instincts live on, refined, delicate, eternal. The next time you hear wings flutter in the air, you are hearing an echo 65 million years in the making. The world never truly lost its dinosaurs. It simply learned to fly. The lesson of the giants. In the story of the dinosaurs lies a quiet truth, that existence itself is a risk. To live is to experiment. to fail, to fall, to rise again. The weirdest dinosaurs, the ones with sails, feathers, horns, and impossible shapes, were not mistakes. They were attempts, each one a bold experiment by a universe that refuses to stop creating, and perhaps that's the greatest lesson they left behind. That survival is not about perfection, but persistence. The wonder of life stand beneath the night sky. Look up at the same stars that once shone over the last Triceratops, the last Tyrannosaur. You are looking at the same canvas on which every creature's story was written. The earth is ancient, but it still dreams. It still creates. It still whispers through time, telling us that wonder is not a thing of the past, but a living force that binds all life together, and, if you listen closely enough, you might still hear it, a low, distant sound, rolling through the rocks, the rivers, the very air. The last roar of the dinosaurs, not of extinction, but of eternity. Narrator, softly, they were not gone. They became everything that came after, and through us they speak again.